What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another month of OCG recap. So I am fairly sure I missed this back in December. I had a lot of stuff on, and we just kind of stumbled into a lot of like Sunday content, so I'm fairly sure I missed the OCG recap for November, at the start of December. So we're getting into January here. The ban list has dropped for the OCG, so one of these lists is no longer legal, but it was far too interesting for me to not put it in here. It is the one at the very end. But we will get to that when we get to it. But before we do get started, as always, please remember to drop down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new here, because we are always happy to have new people. And let's get on into these deck profiles. So first up, we have a Dragonmaid list from the OCG. Interestingly enough, it has the new pot card, which after reading this today, by rereading it, I am definitely going to be buying this straight away to go in my Dragonmaid list, because this card is very good. But starting us off with the list for this one, we have 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, 3 copies of Chamber Dragonmaid, 1 Ernest, 1 Lorpar, and 1 Tintek. They are pretty thin on the Dragonmaid lineup here. Dragonmaid lists have been getting thinner and thinner on their actual, big Dragonmaids for a while now, simply because you control the game with everything else. These are just kind of afterthoughts. I do feel as though when you're not playing the Red MD package, you can get a little bit thin on your level 7 or higher Dragonmaids, so that's just something to keep in mind when you're playing this. Then after that, we've got 2 copies of Ghost Spell, 3 copies of Kitchen Dragonmaid, then we've got 3 Maxi, 3 Parlor, and 1 Skullmeister. Something else in this monster lineup you do notice is there is no Dragonmaid Nurse, or Nurse Dragonmaid. I don't know why you probably wouldn't play that. At least 1 copy is always helpful to, steamroll your advantage. Given as well that they don't have access to LP in the extra deck, that could be a reason as to why it's not played, because it is typically what I would summon off the LP to kind of flood the board back again and keep momentum going. So that could be the reason as to why that's not in the main deck. Then moving into the spells, we do have 1 copy of Changeover and 2 Hospitality, 1 Feather Duster, 3 of the new Pot of Disparity, and 2 Pot of Extravagance. Then for the traps, we have 1 copy of Downtime in the main deck, 3 copies of Tidying, 3 Dynamiscus, and 3 Solemn Strike. In this spell lineup as well, I've found lately, it may just be a local specific thing for me, but a lot of my opponents are playing effects that can crow, and if I'm playing maids, crowing the changeover is the first thing they do. So I feel as though playing 2 is correct for that situation, but I can 100% understand why 1 is correct if you're in a situation where you're not quite expecting that to come through. Now we move on into the extra deck, and of course this is like an extra build, so you are playing just the best cards you have access to. That is 3 copies of Dragonmaid Shiu, 3 copies of House Dragonmaid, 1 copy of Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. I'll get that out eventually. I couldn't quite figure out how you make this in the main deck. I'm assuming this is probably just if you side in Gammas and you're expecting this is what you summon off your Gamma if you get Gammaed on your turn. Like if your opponent maybe ashes the pot or anything like that, you Gamma them, drop it on board, summon the Chaos Ruler, mill 5, summon a Dark, get your chamber, start everything going. That is really the only way I could figure out how they summon this in this. But it is something cool to tech into your Dragonmaid build if you do have a way or a theory on how you're going to be consistently summoning this without having to rely on your Gamma resolving. Then after this, we've got 1 copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This is really good because you can just make it with the Dragonmaids and then make it unaffected. Then we've got 3 copies of Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres, 1 copy of Imduk, 1 copy of Cerberus, 1 Unicorn, and 1 Striker Dragon. So again, the purpose for the Imduk here is in the situation with the Gamma Driver, wherein Chaos Ruler might not be the play you want to go down. You can Imduk into the Driver, and then you can free up your your additional Gammas to resolve. Then we do go into that side deck, and there is 1 copy of Lancia and 2 copies of Nibiru, 3 copies of Gamma and the Driver, 2 Cosmics, 3 Lightning Storms, 2 Anti-Spells, and the Imperial Order. But let's get on into the next one. Okay, so next off we have OCG Code Talkers, and from what I could kind of grasp with this build, it is effectively just repeatedly do the access code, like double attack play with transcode and update jammer. You just want to do that on 2 consecutive turns and win the game. A part of this as well is you don't play like a massive spell lineup because you do have stuff like the Imperial Order in the main deck. The maxis, of course, if you do want to play this does look like it can be pretty much adapted straight card for card, except for the Heat Soul in the extra deck. You might need to switch that out for something else. But I personally do actually quite like this list. It was another list. This and the Dragonmaid list came top 4 in the event that they were at, so I figured they were great decks to go through. But the list for this one is 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Springs, 3 Code Generator, 3 Cyberse Gadget, 2 Dot Scraper, 1 Gachari at Ignista, 1 Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion, 3 Lady Debug, 1 Math Mech Edition, 3 Maxi, and 3 Micro Coda. You can, of course, switch these Maxis out for a different hand trap. That's probably the only card in the main deck that you would need to change. Then after that, we've got 5 spells, so a slim spell lineup because of that Imperial Order. You've got 1 Book of Moon, 1 Sonic Codec, 1 Monster Reborn, and 2 Pot of Desires. Then for your traps, you are playing a lot of things that can steal, or 2 things that can steal, in 2 copies of Crackdown. You want to get those link plays going. Then you have 1 Conflict, 1 Imperial Order, 2 Dynamiscus, 3 Solemn Judgment, and 3 Solemn Strike. Then we move into the extra deck here, and we have 2 copies of the Access Code. As I said before, this is pretty much just playing 2 copies of the cards that will allow you to do the double play on the Transcode Access Code, double attack. Then you just play 1 of all the other like utility Cyberses, so that does include the 1 Code Talker, 1 Code Talker Inverted, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul. I knew it was Heat Soul, I didn't know what the other words were. Then we've got 1 Lingeribo for the Trap Negation, 1 Link Spider, 1 Almirage, 1 Baylinks, 1 Shooting Code, 2 Splash Mage, 2 Transcode, and the 1 Update Jammer. Something in this you just got to be careful is to not get greedy and banish your Update Jammer on your Access Code, otherwise you're going to have a bad time when you try and do the double attack the second time around. For the side deck here, it did play double Prankertops, but that has gone to 1 in the OCG, so we do have just 1 in here now. Then we've got 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird, 2 copies of Nibiru, 2 Skullmeister, and the 1 Harpies. Then we've got 2 Lightning Storm, 2 Dim Barrier, and 2 Evenly Matched, round out the side deck. Okay, and finally we have the very interesting list that I was alluding to earlier. This no longer does work in the OCG because Grinder Golem is now banned, but this was titled Grinder FTK. It is essentially just the Danger FTK, just you utilize Tempest Magician as your way to essentially win. You're just trying to go Tempest Magician, burn as many spells as possible, and then just win from that point on. For this though, you do have 1 copy of Blackwing Zephyros the Elite, 1 Chupacabra, and Triple Mothman. Then you've got 2 copies of Nessie, 2 Jackalope, and 1 Tsuchinoku, despite the fact that it is at 3 in the OCG. How do they have so many dangers and not have a problem with these? I suppose they fixed this problem pretty quickly. But then you've got 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 1 Goki Pole. The Goki Pole is here to search your Danger Mothman so you can thin through the deck some more. Then we've got 1 copy of Grinder Golem, 1 Plague Spreader Zombie, and 1 Kleebolt Hedgehog. Then for the spells, we've got 1 Card Destruction, 3 Chicken Game, 3 Curse Bamboo, 2 Dark Spirit Mastery because this searches the Grinder Golem, 1 Drag Down to the Grave, 1 Foolish, triple Golden Bamboo Sword, triple Hidden Armory, triple Into the Void, 1 Shuffle Reborn, a card that was a bit of a flashback to Zoo format. This card could eventually probably make a comeback because it is quite good. I reread it and I was like, yeah, this card was broken. Why did we stop playing this? Then we've got 1 Terraforming, just the 1 Triple Tactics Talents. Card is a hard once per turn, so you don't want to brick on it, I guess. Then we've got 3 copies of Upstart round at the main deck, which is 41 cards. I suppose when you're just playing Upstarts anyway and the spells you want to resolve, you can go over 40. Then for the extra deck, we've got 1 Herald of the Arkwright and the card that does the FTK in the Tempest Magician, 1 Herald of Pure Light, 1 Mannequin Cat, and 1 Dagaris. Then we've got the 1 Arkashik, 1 Appaloosa, 1 Curious, 1 Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, 1 Link Spider, 1 Link Karibo, 1 Sayuja, 1 Security Dragon, and 1 Selene. So effectively, the way you kind of do this was you just use the Grinder Golem, generate lots of tokens, get through your deck, summon the Tempest Magician, and then just combo off, because that's like the best way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! When you're playing this deck, because you just kind of win once you resolve, I think it's 16 spells. So you want to like use your Kleebolt, your Plague Spreader to get you to the Tempest Magician with all of your level 4s that you're playing, and then you just combo off from there and just go crazy. But that wraps up here for the deck profiles for these guys. So if you do have any decks that you want to see in OCG recap, do make sure to comment those guys down below. Also, a lot of decks over there at the moment are just really annoyingly VW decks, so Virtual World. It was essentially just Virtual World was all I could find, and I didn't want to put in Virtual World lists here because pretty much all Virtual World lists are the same. If next month is the same, I will try and find one that has some cool text and stuff like that people can maybe adapt off of. But at the moment, it was just a lot of Virtual World, and these were the best decks that I could find that were as interesting as possible. But as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.